So the aluminum piece arrived today. It came perfectly wrapped from sendcutsend.com. Took less than a week from order to delivery to my house, and I think this is awesome. This is the aluminum 0.187 thickness of the aluminum. The issue that I see with this as it comes delivered from the company is that the edges are really sharp. So I'm going to try to focus in here, but these edges are really sharp. So since I already have this here, I am going to, well, not me, but my husband is going to help me to sand these down. He thinks with the Orbital Sander and 100 grit sandpaper we should be able to get this smooth. This was ordered with deburring, which is getting off the rough edges, but of course nothing's perfect. The small piece was ceramic tumbled, which these edges are far smoother. Like I don't see this really being much of an issue, but the big piece, they can't ceramic tumble this size. The only thing they did was the deburring, and so this needs to be sanded so that way it's not so rough. But the table is installed. I have two braces underneath, but honestly they're set for a the thicker wood, and so they're not even touching. And with this bolt tightened down with this piece in place, the table barely moves. It like doesn't move at all. The end piece isn't moving. Here I'm pushing it down. It's just barely moving. Certainly no different than what the original table does. And because of the machining and the measurements I took, this is perfectly flush with the table, with the needle plate. I think it's even possible to place this if this bolt is tight enough. I think it's perfectly possible to not need the brace pieces on the bottom, because again, my two brace pieces I have in place for the 0.25 thickness of the wood, they're not even touching. So you can see right there, it's not touching, and the front piece is not touching the plate at all, and the table's barely moving. And this again is the 0.187 thickness aluminum that I got from Send Cut Send. It is, I'll get the exact weight after we sand this down. I'll get the exact weight and I'll put it in that part of the video, so in just a little bit. But I think it's about 4 pounds for this table, the one that we hate to love. That one weighs 8 pounds, somewhere between 8 and 9 pounds. And again, this one will install in a few seconds. I'll put my glasses back on. So you can see. And it's off. If you want color, have the aluminum powder coated. That's what I'm going to do. So after about 45 minutes of grinding the edges of the table here, everything is smooth. It's a nice radiused edge on the table. So it turned out really great. There's no raw edge like originally. I can run my hand over this and it's not sharp like previously. The bottom edge is still a little sharp, so when I maybe over the weekend or when I feel the need, I might round the bottom edges a bit, but for right now, this was perfect. Quite frankly, I want to use it, so I was impatient. So, but it's pretty great. So he did all the edges. We didn't get in the middle here just because it's a harder edge, you know, in the loop. But so right now I have the table installed on the machine. I have the squared piece that came directly from the cut company. Again, I used Send, Cut, Send. This was as part of my instructions to them when I placed my order. I requested that the smaller bits be ceramic tumbled. That was free as part of the process, and so the edges are pretty smooth. I mean, you could probably go in there and radius these, but not with the tools that we use. We'd actually have to get the sander out to make sure, you know, it doesn't go flying around. But installed, you can again see it is you know, pretty level right here as designed. It's a tight fit front and back. The table doesn't move. There's no flex, or very little, with the aluminum. And currently I have no braces underneath. The only thing that's holding this in place is the tight fit, the machining, or the dimensions that I used to get this tight fit with this height of the material is the only thing that's keeping it in place with this bracket. However, for mental note, I am going to place a bracket down here just to ensure stability. I'm going to place one here, and then I'm going to put another one here just to make sure that everything stays level and doesn't move. So I'm going to do that, but right now, just so you can see, I'm pushing pretty hard, and there's just a little bit of room back and forth. That's why I think the leveling piece is going to be a help, and that stabilization piece. So let me go ahead and install that. You can see it moves, you know, if you lift it, because you know, it's coming off of the edge, but pushing down, which it might be loose now. Let me tighten that bolt up a bit. So let me tighten this further down. Again, I'm using the bolt that the machine came with. This one that was in the hump, that's right there. So now there's no downward flex on this side. There's a little on the other, but that's okay, because again, I'm going to put those stabilization pieces right here and right here to prevent that. So I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to install them. Okay, so I installed the two bracket pieces. This piece here is just made out of wood, and this is one of the original design pieces that I made for the machine and for this product. However, I've since modified the design, and just since I've used it prior to or after me ordering the material from Send, Cut, Send. From a practical perspective, again, here we go, very little movement in the front. Now that it's got that brace there, there's very little, if any, flex, certainly not enough to be worried about on the back end with the aluminum. I'm really happy. This table weighs 3 pounds 9 ounces. That one weighed 8 pounds 8 ounces. And the wood one, wherever it is, which I think is over here, the wood one weighs just over 1 pound. This is a perfect addition to the sewing machine, and I am going to get my top powder coated. If you do that, just make sure that you are cautious about the edges, because this is pretty precision. There's a little room there, but not much. And with that precision, you don't want to get any powder coat or paint or anything in there that would affect the ability of this to stay stable on the machine. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Oh yeah, this was cut out of 0.187 inch aluminum, and I got it from sendcutsend.com. Oh, and I have no affiliation with them.